Hey everybody, it's Wednesday. It's a cold, Haley Wednesday. It's 44 degrees outside, which for Los Angeles is at any time of year kind of striking. And I cannot tell if this is working. I'm using Rooms today so I can say hi and then switch to the other camera. It's craft demo day, so today I'm going to be working with Simon Hurley's new stamping foam. If you're old enough, you might remember that this came out 10-15 years ago as a different product, and I remember using it then. And Simon Hurley has reinvented it. He has lots of, I watched his video on his release on it, and he's got lots of great features that he put into these, which I'll talk about in a second. But for those of you who don't know what this is, you heat it up and then you can impress in it, and it holds the texture that you impress. So I'm going to switch cameras so that I can show you that. Remember how to do this? I can't see if you're watching me with this particular, because I'm using a Room to broadcast. So if you are and you want to say hi so I can use it in the comments. There we go. And now you can see my whole table because I've set it up a little differently. So these come in a set of 4, which is really nice. And it's really dense foam, it's denser than the original, which is interesting. I think you're going to get a little more crisper image because of it. The size, he sized it specifically so that you could stamp on an A2 card, which I want to say is 5 1/4 by 3 3/4 or something like that. I should know those dimensions by heart. But actually it's 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. There you go. That's why you have these sorts of tools around. This is my Tonic Studio. It's a glass craft mat. And it's great because it does have some of these things written down on it. I don't take very good care of it, unfortunately, so I need to wash this off. I am not Tim Holtz, who manages to keep his space so pristinely clean that it looks like he doesn't craft at all, which is, isn't true because he's very prolific. But this has on it all these measurements. So it has inches, and it has various grids, and it has looks like it goes in 5-degree arcs here, and then it has the A2, and then it has 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, which is half a sheet of paper there too. Lots of nice little pieces on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the fact that this is glass, and I'm going to use, this is a Gwen LaFleur stamp set, and I'm just going to create a little background imagery. And we're going to see how this works. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start. I just put it down. I put it on my glass mat so they don't move around. Now I'm going to heat this up. And this might be a little process of trial and error to find out how hot I need to heat it up to make it malleable. Okay, I'm just going to give it a quick push and see if that was enough. If it wasn't, then I'll do it some more. So that's great about this is that you can, oh, wow, look at that. Let's see if you can you see the impression I got on that? All right, so let's put these aside. I'm going to use the stamp set again in a second. And oops, let's stamp it. So what I'm going to get is the ghost impression of this, right? I'm not going to get a full, it's not going to be the same as if I used the actual stamp. I'm going to get a halo effect instead. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this up. wait, that's better. And this is, I'm just using a Distress Oxide. I wanted a nice, pretty background color because that's what I'm basically doing here is making a background. Okay. And I'm going to put it down on my paper. This is just paper that's left over from other projects that I had, just happens to be the right size. So there you go. You can see the impressions that I got. Nice halo effect, sort of a ghost effect of the stamp. And of course, if you think about it, I'm going to get the stamp, and then I'm also going to get the edge of the stamp because of the way the stamp was sitting up on the glass. So there's a bunch going on here that's not just about the image. It's also, I've got the dead space around the stamps that I have in there. So that's one way to use it. I'm actually going to spritz it with a little water. These are, this is Distress ink, so it's water soluble. So I'm going to, I have rehydrated what was left on the stamp. And look at that. So I've got myself a nice dark impression with some watery effects as well. So there's that. I'm going to wipe this off. Now push the baby wipes. Hey Lois! Hope you're staying dry. This wacky weather out there. Very March. Okay, now here's what's genius about this stuff. One, you get 4 of these in the set, so 4 stamps right off the bat. But then, and are you ready for this? You can reheat it and use it again. This time I'm going to use the 3rd on this set. So this is the Gwen LeClaire set EGL05. And it includes this really sweet little bird, which I'm going to try right now. I don't know if you can see, the imagery is gone. It is already dissipated. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this bird as my focal point. There she is. You know what? I don't like where that ended up, so I'm going to redo it. See better? Doesn't take much heat to dissolve that image. This is how I'm going to do it this time. I'm actually going to put it on like this, turn it over, and press down. Give it a minute. There we go. There's my pretty little bird. And I'm going to do it again with the red. This color is Candy Apple. It's a Distress Oxide, so it says opaque pigment ink, which I love. The Distress inks are dye inks, so they are transparent. This is a pigment ink. It's meant to sit on top and is opaque. So this is a horizontal image. I'm just going to do this. Nice firm pressure. Now I didn't get a really great impression with that. Let's see. So I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to re-ink, but then I'm going to spritz it a little first and see if that helps me get a brighter color. All right, so I spritzed it a little. Let's see what we get in the way of color on this one. Ooh, look at that. So that's kind of pretty. All right, let me get the things I knocked off the desk. Okay, I'm going to clean this up, and we're going to give another technique a try. So that was using stamps to create the impression. So that was embedding things in the stamp material. Let's see what happens if I use it a little differently. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to see Simon Hurley do his demos and stuff, but he's an adorable kid, for one thing. I think I get to call him that, though at this point he may very well be an adult. He's been on the scene a little while. But he started out as a kid. His mom helped him, I believe, making craft supplies with a little more of a youthful, fun, sense to them. So this time, I should get this ready. This time what I'm going to do is use a stencil. And this is a Paper Artsy again. This is Tracy Scott. I thought it was time to bring in a new number stencil since my other number stencils have been well used. So I'm just going to put that down on the mat. And I'm going to go back to heating this up. I still have a little impression of the bird, so I haven't heated it up enough. A little distress ink on my fingers. Not a bad way to spend the day, getting ink on your fingers. So now I'm just going to go ahead and plunk it down on a portion of this stencil. Not really worried about where it lands. So there I've got a nice impression. This time I'm going to use my VersaFine Clear, which you all know is my favorite. I'm going to rub it across. Now, there are some fairly wide, white spaces here that are taking in the ink. So I anticipate that what I'm going to get is the halo impression of the stencil with some of that white space printing, because the impression is not as deep as when you use the stamps, right? This isn't. Oh, love it. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's almost like a jelly print. That's so pretty. Let's see if I can get a second one. Yeah, I would use that as a background. How fun is that? I don't think I'm gonna erase that. So that gives you an idea of what's possible with the new Simon Hurley stamp foam. It's a tool for your tool kit. I'm going to keep that because I like it. So if I do something else, I'm going to pull it out. I'll pull out a new one. Let me think about what I could do. So now I have done the two things that I planned to do. So let's see what happens if I just grab something and play around with it. This is one of my stencils that I need to retire. I mean, this is just chunky stuff here. So I'm kind of curious as to what's going to happen. Hey, Carla, I knew you'd love this stuff. This stuff is so fun. Anyway, I'm going to see what happens when I press it into this stuff. The possibilities are pretty endless. You know, you could create your own tableaus. Now remember, this stencil is very compromised with tons of paint, right? So it was this nice, you can see that was the size of the holes when I started, and this is the size of some of the holes. Oh, that hole's completely gone. So that's what happens when you let your stencils get compromised. I'm not apologizing for it, it's what I do, but you can't avoid that by throwing your stuff into a tub of water when you're using it. So right there's one of the reasons why I have a hard time with the design of these pads. The lid was fused on. So let's see what I get out of this. This is again the Distress Oxide. So that's without any water. So that's kind of cool. And then let's see if I spritz it carefully. Try not to get any splodges. Oh, this one's got stuff all over it. And that's with a little water, but I didn't re-ink, so it wasn't a lot of ink on there. So that just shows you I almost got the same quality when I re-inked it. Now I'm kind of curious if I don't clean it off and I add another color. So far I've added Faded Jeans, and this is Fossilized Amber. And I'm going to accept the fact that I may end up compromising my color a little bit, but that's how I roll. Okay, so now I have that I patted on instead of rubbed, so I didn't get the same coverage. So of course it came out kind of greeny. That's cool though, in its own way. And now I've spritzed it with some water. Fresh ink or fresh paper. So if you consider these a place to start in terms of adding color and building a background, I didn't like that. I don't like that at all. So I'm going to come in, add another color on top of that. See what happens. And then what happens when I add some water? Oh, I could see losing a whole day to this. I really could. Anyway, so in terms of a place to start, this is a nice sort of background imagery, which I could come along and stamp again. Maybe, let's try that. So I've done that. And then now I have this stamp. And this one, maybe what I'll come in, instead of rubbing it, I'm just going to come in and tap it. Let's see if I get coverage that way. I'm getting lines from the edge of my pad. Let's see what happens if I put this down on top of what I just printed. Ooh. See? If you don't like it, you're not done. Put on another layer. Love that. So you can see I was a little more careful about how I put the ink down, and so I got more of just the impression of the numbers and not so much the impression of the background. I mean, it still was there, but just not quite as strongly as when I did it before and really rubbed the ink on. So it's kind of nice that they're the same size, right? So, yeah. Yes. Okay. That is it for today. I just wanted to give you a quick little insight into this. Honestly, I've already sold quite a bit of this, so I don't have a hell of a lot in stock, but I'm going to reorder. But I do have a few bags. And let me see. Let's do this. Settings. And all right. So yeah, so you can find them. It was newly put down on the website, so you should be able to find it first thing if you go to Shop Now. And the stamps that I used, let's see, I used Paper Artsy Gwen Leffler's EGL05, and I used this is the Prima Finnebear 12 by 12. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's definitely on the website if you're interested in having purchasing that stencil. And then my numbers, my new number stencil. And look, no paint on my stencil, and yet I still got an impression of it. This is Tracy Scott's, one of her new ones that I just put on the website, and it's PS208. They don't name their stamps and things at Paper Artsy, which I don't think they are. But you can always message me and ask me questions about these things. Otherwise, join me Friday at 11. Pretty sure it'll be at 11. My daughter's having oral surgery in the morning, so we'll kind of, I'm going to play it by ear, but I'm pretty sure I have time to get here to do the art journaling. Otherwise, 1 o'clock for sure. Come and see what new products are in the store. The boxes just keep coming. So I have more to show you. Anyway, thanks for spending time.